learn. They're going to create societies that's going to develop an understanding. This is going to be what eventually is going to become Freemasonry, because only a select group of people in Europe is going to be exposed to this information.
Because the secret of Masonry, of who we really are, the Moors, is being here on this land, this particular land. Because it was called, in many names, you had Turtle Island, that we called it, or Tula, or El Morocco, the different terms that we had. And the original map of America was written by a guy named Idrisi. And the original map was written in Sanskrit.
Antarctica was actually mapped by a Moor. And most people don't know it was mapped by a Moor. And they have old topographical evidence of old maps of Antarctica. That's why the Nazis fled there, because they knew that there were places there under the ice that they could actually inhabit and hide.
We know for a fact that the first Umayyad and Abbasid dynasty, we know they were black. We know that they were what we call Arabs, but there's no such thing as an Arab. An Arab, I call them Afrabs. Because to be an Arab, you must be black. That's what makes you an Arab, that you're black.
The term Arab, that's a loose term. Arab doesn't really identify nationality or race, because there are Moors who were Arabs, there were Moors who were Christians. So the word Moor, a lot of people try to make Moor synonymous with light or white skin, but that's not necessarily the case, because you remember even when Barack Obama was trying to get elected in America, when people tried to slander him, they would say, oh, he's an Arab. So people know that an Arab, it really means non-white, but they try to make the term interchangeable. They switch the term up at their disposal.
So that even if you did want to say Arabs, they're not Eurasians, they are mixtures of Eurasians and Africans that would congregate in certain areas once they came out of the Ice Age, and then they would come across, they would travel west into what we call North Africa. But they would not come in any large numbers until thousands of years after the fact. We know that Tariq was an African. He was the general that crossed over in July of 711 into what we call Spain today. It wasn't called Spain then. It didn't exist. These were little kingdoms. A king of Spain called Alphonse X. Very smart man. What he did was he began to translate the works out of Arabic. Now, Arabic is an African language, by the way. And Antara was the one that gave it syntax and grammar. Because prior to what we today call Islam, Arabic didn't exist. Arabic was the language of the Quran. And that came out of Africans. That Spanish and French and Portuguese, Italian, Romanian, these languages would codify themselves. Once the Moors came in and brought civilization and brought in a semblance of language and syntax, they then would take Latin and they would branch off, and then you would have Spanish. That's why all of the languages are related to Latin. That's why they call the Latin languages.
A lot of the European royal family's coat of arms, you can clearly see depictions of Moors. Many of the original castles of Europe were built by the Moors. There are many Moorish castles in Spain, Italy, England, and some of these castles, they can be seen in Africa as well. A lot of people don't know that there are castles all throughout Ethiopia. We never see that on television. We always see the cats and the dudes in the mud huts and people starving in Ethiopia, but there are very well-designed castles all over Ethiopia. And a lot of the Moors, you can see pictures and paintings of them in castles in Europe. You can look at old paintings and see this.
What you are looking at when you see the cathedrals, that's all Moorish architecture, taken to the extent to the next level. In fact, we know for a fact, and I have to get the specific book once more, but all of the cathedrals that you see built in England, the island of England, were built by the Moors.
By the time the Moors got into Europe, the illiteracy rate was very high because there was no practical reason for people to read at the time, because people were really trying to survive. So the only people who could read at the time were monks or religious figures. So the Moors went into Europe and they started to establish universities.
The first university created in Europe, the University of Salamanca, they created the education system that Europe adopted. They brought in what became classical music.
Black folks running stuff.
Brought architecture.
Let's bring it back, y'all.
In fact,
tired of being oppressed.
That the teachers in the Moorish paradigm in the Iberian Peninsula, the teachers under the Moors got the equivalent of $40,000 a year back then. That's how advanced they were. In fact, everywhere in Europe sent their best to go and learn there, just like they sent them to Timbuktu, just like they sent them over to Luxor, just like they sent them over to where all these areas where you see Africans and high sciences were, they sent them there to Spain to learn.
Well, the Moors brought in the first music conservatory into Valencia, Spain. They brought Ziryab into Spain, and he brought in a chordophone known as the lute, L'-O-U-D. We call it lute, L-U-T-E. It's a chordophone, and it has 4 chords. And you know, the hormones of the body, the humors, Africans would heal people when you had clogs in your liquid systems, okay? Whether it was your mucus, or whether it was your hormones, whether it was your phlegm, whether it was your blood, whatever was clogged up, what they do is that they would put this chordophone over your body and they would strum, right? And in strumming, the vibration of the string would open up whatever was clogged, okay? Ziryab, in his brilliance, added a 5th string. And this 5th string was for plasma, which is invisible liquid, which is the origin of the universe. And this just healed your entire system, your entire body. When you look at a piano is a harp turned sideways. That's why when you look at a baby grand piano, it's shaped like a harp. Then you take the top up and you put a stick there so there's